was looking for a soul to steal. He was in a bind, way behind, trying to make a deal. Then he saw a YouTube girl reading through the thread. She was dropping cold, hard logic on the crazy things they said. He leaned in close and grinned, said, "Girl, I know you're tired. This ain't how we do it. Better step back in line tonight. Fire on the mountain. Run, boys, run. YouTubery's got a brand new sub. Snark in the comments, venom in the tone. Bless your heart, darling. Now get off my throne." The devil popped his laptop, said, "I'll start this show." He found a toxic little forum where the ugly minds go. He typed in all caps fury just to make a scene, but she just raised one eyebrow like, "Boy, that's weak and mean." He said, "I'm the king of chaos. I can break your little page." She said, "Honey, I eat drama for my breakfast every day." Run, boys, run. YouTubery's got a brand new sub. Snark in the comments, venom in the tone. Bless your heart, darling. Now get off my throne. Hey! The devil bowed his head low. This must be a dream. She didn't need to holler, didn't need to scream. Just one sweet little warning, and the whole thing spun apart. Calm as a church bell ringing, sharp as a house cat's heart. Fire on the mountain. Run, boys, run. YouTubery's got a brand new sub. Snark in the comments, venom in the tone. Bless your heart, darling. Now get off my throne. Fire on the mountain. Run, boys, run. Run, boys, run.
Hellfish is powdering his nose. He just called me a few minutes ago. Said he's painting his face and powdering his nails. Gonna look all pretty for everybody. So let's see who's all here. We got Lady Wags is gonna be in the background. She's gonna be replaying for us. We got Lily. Hi, Lily. How you doing? We got May. Oh, Lord. Everybody, trouble's here. We got Darth Vader. We got trouble. We got the best screen name up there in Massachusetts. AD for DA, y'all. We got Jen. We got our little sister. So yeah, we got us a little house party going. How you doing? Dar says, "Don't believe everything Hellfish tells you about me." Well. Oh, he's sending me a message right now. Let's see what it says. Hold on, I'm going to tell him, "Folks is here waiting for you." Okay, it says he's coming, I guess. Hold on, folks. Is waiting. Lord have mercy. Let's see. Now, how do I know? Does he just pop right on in here? Let's see. Y'all know I don't know what in the Samuel L. Jackson I am doing. I did put together a compilation video today. Did some shorts a while back of the Moose Shadow saga. I sound like a damn Yankee. Reading the story, it's like, this is the story of Moose Shadow and her evil plans or whatever. Okay. He said he's coming. But yeah, I put together that and I'm considering playing it for y'all. It's cute. He said, give him a couple of seconds. He is eliminating his echo, which I don't know how to do. So if I'm echoing, I'm so sorry. Okay. So y'all know we're bringing in Hellfish, right? And he's just going to be kind of answering a few questions and telling us about things. So I think it's going to be kind of cool. Let's see. Hey, New Hampshire woman. How you doing, baby? Everybody doing real good? I sure hope so. It's one of them Gatorade days where I'm at, man. You can't seem to get enough of it. And weirdly enough, the neighborhood I live in has a swimming pool, and the water in it is exceedingly cold today. And normally about this time of year, it's too warm. So I don't know. I can't go swimming. I can't be getting in no cold water. Oh, Lord, y'all. Oh, Lord. How you doing,
sorry.
Hel?
Just had to make sure the power was all good.
Oh, no, you look beautiful. Look at you. Got your nails done and everything.
Absolutely.
So how is everything? How you doing?
I'm well. I think the big guy, little guy wants to come over and say hello real quick. Come here, Jose.
Hey, that's fine.
Come on up. Go ahead. Hey, buddy. Good boy.
Getting all these hellos. Oh, my goodness.
What do you mean?
Popular. You're gonna be popular. Look at all this. Oh, look at y'all.
You got a good crowd popping in here.
I'll tell you what. Everybody's here to see you. They don't give a shiny fat dime about me, boy. They're here to see you.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be here without you.
They said, Lord, have mercy. We're going to get us some of that hellfish.
What do you mean, buddy?
Oh, wait. Nefarious was like, I do care. I do. So I was just telling everybody that we're just going to talk about you. This is all about Hellfish Day. Okay, y'all. So we are going to talk about you. We're going to talk about your organization. Because, okay, there's people like me out here that I don't know what y'all do or who you do it for or what's going on. Like for people like me, like when we think about veteran support, we think about the VFW. We think about a smoke-filled bar, people having drinks, the VA putting y'all in a line that's about 17 years long. We don't really think about the organizations that are out there, the small guys that are fighting for everybody. And I just felt like it was, I know it ain't funny or comedy, but I feel like we do need to like pull back the curtain on that. We need
Absolutely.
to see who's out there actually saving lives and putting power back into the community. You know what I mean?
Yep. And nothing against the VFWs and the Legions and the legacy veteran service organizations, but they have become very much in engraved in the way of the past. They got used to running a bar that was very successful in the 70s and 80s when drinking and driving laws weren't as prevalent as they are now. And also folks, I feel like this generation and Gen X, millennial and beyond haven't really taken to the drinking as previous generations have. So
Yeah, that is true.
These organizations that focused on the they call it the canteen, focused on the canteen before they focused on the veteran, and that really caused a little bit of a break in the services for the veterans. And once you're stopped providing the veterans the services, then you wind up losing the veterans to come to the meetings and be there for you when you need to repair the building or fix things or just funding in general. And so I went through the chairs at the American Legion. I went to a meeting because my barber at the time said, "Hey, Mike, you just got back from Iraq. Why don't you go ahead and come to this meeting at the Legion?" I said, "Okay." And we're sitting at the meeting, and all of a sudden it's nominations for elections. And they go, "We need somebody to be the junior vice commander." And Dave goes, Mike will do it." So I was like, "All right, I guess I'm going to be the junior vice commander." And so that insisted, they're like, you just got to plan parties and stuff. And the and stuff is what really got me was, I had to learn in a book how to go classes and learn like the ways of the American Legion. But it was kind of cool because the Legion that I was at was the Lawrence W. Foster American Legion post 93. And Lawrence W. Foster was a World War I veteran who was killed in action. And he was actually my stepfather's great uncle.
Wow.
So
this is a whole family line for you.
So it was just really kind of a sense of pride in the family to be a part of the Legion on the on the elected board, and to be serving as the youngest guy in the room on the board. And then going from there, the next year they moved me up from junior vice to senior vice commander, and then the following year they bumped me from senior vice to commander, and I stayed in that position for 3 years. And it was funny because during that time I was commander, but I was also going back and forth overseas to Iraq. So I did 3 tours in Iraq and a tour in Kuwait. Of my 13 years in the Guard, I spent 9.5 years active duty. So when I tell you 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year, that's I didn't get too much of that.
Wow. So you spent 13 and a half years, 9 years on active duty. And how many tours did you say you've done?
I did 4 altogether. So I did 3 in Iraq, and then I did 1 tour in Kuwait.
What did you do in the military?
So I was in military police. So my first tour, I was a specialist. So my responsibility was basically me and my weapon. And we were also on a protective service detail. So we guarded a general. So wherever the general had to go, we would convoy. We wound up doing like 15,000 miles on the road on convoys. And then if the convoy was going to be more than 2 hours, the general would fly. So sometimes we would have to convoy to where the general was flying. So that way he would have, a vehicle to move him around once he got there. Other times we would fly, like, one protective service agent would be in the helicopter with him, the Black Hawk. And then 2 or 3 of us would be in the follow-up bird, which would be the Black Hawk behind, because they always fly in 2. In case something happens, they can, have the other one to get the guys out. And so, like,
so you had a pretty exciting life out there.
Riding in the Black Hawk was, something I'd never done before. Like, riding a helicopter, not something that everybody gets to, to do and be a part of. And they get you to, sit in the seats. You buckle up. You got like a 5-point harness that snaps you in, and then they have the doors wide open while you're flying. And so the first time you're kind of like, this is kind of crazy. And what they do, because they know it's your first time, is they put you in what's called the hurricane seat. And as you're sitting there, it's like those commercials where the kids, like the big chiefs, go flying, and it's like all the wind's coming at you. And so,
Oh no.
yeah, so you're sitting there the whole time. You can't move, and you're just everything's squished and just flapping in the wind as they go through everything. And they have as they fly, we come up to high tension wires, and what they do is they go hit the high tension wires. They're flying low because low they can fly fast and not get targeted by any RPGs or other devices that are going to target or shoot at them. So if they fly low, they're not heard before they're in the area, so they can just fly by and get out before anything happens. So when they come to high tension wires, they have to pop up real quick and then pop back down. And that wasn't too bad for me. But one time we had a Iraqi news anchor woman flying with us, and she did not do very well with the popping up and popping down. So all of a sudden she looks at us, she becomes flush, and she just opened up her blouse and just vomited down her shirt.
Oh my
And
God.
watching her get sick on the helicopter, I was like, I looked over at my team leader. I'm like, Billy, I'm like, I need something. I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna do well with this. And like, I pulled off my flight glove and like held it to my mouth, and I was like, don't do it. I was like, don't do it. And I just like, I fought it back, but like, it was crazy. Like, and then when we landed, I don't know how they got a hold of somebody, but like, as soon as we landed on the ground where we were going, we went from Tikrit, Iraq, which is Saddam's hometown. We flew all the ways up to Erbil, and up in Erbil, it's like Kurdish. It's more relaxed and more European influenced than down in Tikrit. So when we landed, they had like a team of people that met up with this this reporter, and they gave her like a change of clothes and everything, and like brought her into like a private room to get her changed and everything. It was really kind of funny to see, but like I was just like, I'm not flying with her again on the way home.
Oh my God. Oh, I can't imagine. I mean, okay, I can imagine that I'd be the one throwing up down my blouse. I cannot imagine doing any of the other stuff. I cannot. I can't imagine going up in one of them helicopters. That is crazy. So you had a pretty exciting, like, I won't say a good experience. No war is a good experience, but an exciting experience.
So my first tour was very unique. It was we had I had a couple guys that were in my squad that had been to Afghanistan before, so they had been deployed. They had been in a combat zone before. They kind of knew the ropes, and so it was nice to have those guys there. My New Hampshire woman. I'll actually be able to talk about Ramadi in a little bit. I was there after him because my first tour in 04-05 is when I went to Tikrit, and we were in charge. The area that we were in charge of, well, not we, but the general that we worked for, we did all multinational force Iraq North. So it was, I don't know if I have any pictures of Iraq over here. I do not. But if you look at Iraq, it's like you've got Baghdad and then you go north of it, and it gives you the yep. I don't know why it zoomed in on me.
Because you made yourself all pretty for us. Your camera knew that.
Real quick. Let's look at Marge real quick. Marge is Rosie the Riveter. I had a local artist paint this. It's actually on wood.
Oh, that's cool.
You put the little hellfish on the bicep because he thought it was a really cool idea to say, that we're having a new version of, a veteran service organization in Hellfish Haven, and where we're creating. And let me see if I can get this to reset now. See me.
Yep, you're just about there. Down just a little bit so we can see your cleavage. There you go. we gotta. We need to see your boobages.
But it was a good tour. The first tour, and having those folks that were there prior really helped out to make it easy for me to understand and know what to do, and not be as timid into what we're going into. But on day 12, we were even done doing what's called the RIPTOA, the Relief in Place Transfer of Authority. And 1st Infantry Division was in charge of the area, and we were 42nd Infantry Division, which is this here, the Rainbow Division. And then this is my MP Brizard. We didn't wear it because we were doing the protective service detail. But normally, as MPs, you would wear the Brizard, and it's military police in Arabic.
Oh, wow. Oh, but you didn't wear it when you were like guarding the general fella?
No, because when you guard somebody and you do a protective service detail, you want to blend in with them. You don't want to make them stand out. So if it's a bunch of guys standing around him with the MPs on and he didn't, it kind of makes him a target.
Oh, well, that makes sense. So you see how far I'd get doing it. They'd be like, ma'am, please go sit down. Well, that is pretty exciting. What about? No, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh no, we had that area that was in charge of the north, and on day 12, before the Relief in Place Transfer Authority was even over, we were doing a convoy, and we were getting everybody familiar with a 240 Bravo, which is a machine gun that shoots 7.62 rounds. Because when we trained up to get over there, we had set up that we were going to use 50 cals and Mark 19s, which are like a grenade launcher machine gun. But because we were operating inside the city, you can't use the grenade launcher. So we had to get those taken down, traded in, and we got the 240 Bravo switched, and that was put on top of the Humvee. And me as a gunner, I had to get familiarized with it and then qualled. And then after we qualled and everything, we went down to an area that we thought was secure. And as we went down, did a quick little recon, came back. Not even 10 minutes later, went back down the same area. As we're going down, the first ID lieutenant calls up and says, "Hey, we're going to take the lead from here." They come around, go in front of our truck, because my truck was the lead truck to begin with. And then as they take the right-hand turn onto the dirt off the road, into the same exact tire tracks that we were just in, they're going really slow. And the driver in our vehicle sees something in the path and goes to call it out. And then there's a loud explosion. I got knocked out. The guys in the vehicle that were taking that turn had their entire engine blown out. The V shape of the Humvee was able to keep it from doing a lot of damage. And it was an anti-tank landmine that we had hit. So
oh my God.
If they had been driving any faster than they were, it would have been catastrophic for them detonating underneath the vehicle. But the way that they create the Humvees and how everything's done these days is there's like a V cut to the bottom of it. So when it exploded, underneath what the tire was, that V made everything shoot out. So like the fragments hit our Humvee, and the explosion and the way it detonated, we didn't know what happened to the guys in the vehicle. And so when I got the concussion from that, the tactic was to make sure that I was okay. They had to punch me in the nuts.
No.
Yeah, that was to make sure that somebody would wake up when they were okay. They would give you a good little, how are you?
They flicked you in the giblets.
Yeah, it was. It is not a good hello.
Oh my God. They punched him in the berries, y'all. Okay. They punched him in the berries. Oh my Lanta. It sounds to me between the automotive engineers and the good Lord, somebody had a hand around y'all, hand of protection.
Absolutely.
Except,
because, you know,
except for the hand that flicked you in the giblets. That was not kind.
no, they, you know, I think they got a sense of humor.
We're not laughing at you in here. We're laughing with you. They got you
I
right
did
in the nuggies. Oh my goodness.
a share screen if you want to try to pull that up.
Uh-huh. I sure will. I saw it come up. Okay. So what are we looking at?
So this is the Humvee here as it went off the side of the road, and you can see the damage done there. Here's a closer view of it.
Oh my Lanta.
This is Tommy. He was up in the turret. Where the gutters stand is the turret. This is the
Whoa.
tire that blew off of this vehicle.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm. And you can see where the
Holy
door is
crap.
here on that vehicle. That's where we were. We were this vehicle here when it blew up here. So that's why I got knocked out, because we were that close.
Oh my God. Holy
And then we had
cow.
to strip everything out of it. And you can see the guys with the big red one. They were the ones getting ready to leave. And we were the ones getting ready to take over.
Oh my God. Y'all, are y'all seeing this?
We had to take the little rockets and everything off the truck. There's, this right on the back of the truck. This is, diesel fuel. So, I mean, like I said, if it hit it further, it would have done, substantial damage. There was a rocket launcher inside of the Humvee. More ammo that was inside. Like any of that had, caught, it would have been just not good at all. But this is the overhead view of it.
Did somebody come pick y'all up? Or, I mean, it looks like y'all are about 1,000 miles from nowhere.
So we were up in an area called Midland Range. And we thought, we called back to our unit and said, hey, can you guys come pick us up? The guys from First ID, the big red one, said, we already turned all our vehicles over to you guys, so we can't come get you. And when we called over to the 42nd ID headquarters, they said, oh, we don't have anybody that's qualified to drive and, be in all these vehicles yet, so we can't come get you. So they were like, you guys just stay out there and stay with the vehicle until tomorrow. We can send a wrecker out there at like 10 a.m. And this is like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So we're like, that is a terrible idea. So that's when we started stripping down the vehicle of all the sensitive items. So that way we could, move back. There was a base, maybe a half mile away that we were going to go to and stay there and have somebody keep eyes on the Humvee with a pair of binoculars instead of, us staying out there. Because as we stayed out there, the longer we were, we started seeing people move around in the hills. And as you see those guys come up, it's like, we didn't want to, test our luck any more than we already had that day. And so we got everybody inside of vehicles. We didn't have enough seats for as many asses as we had. So we had to wait for folks to come get us. And what happened was a hodgepodge crew from the division, like the headquarters unit, the guys that are normally like sitting behind computers, like guys that are like meteorologists and guys that, work at an aid station and guys that do the pay for everybody, the mailroom clerk, they all came together, put together, with all their people enough to be able to drive 4 vehicles out there and man it to be able to come pick us up so we could drive all of our vehicles back with them.
Oh my
So
God.
we had a hodgepodge crew come out and save us. But of course, because these guys were, the hodgepodge crew that they were, on the way back to the base, they ran out of gas.
No.
So one of the Humvees ran out of fuel. So they're like, do you guys have any, fuel cans? And of course, at that point, we did. We each had 3 fuel cans on the back of the Humvees. So what we did is we grabbed it on the side of the Humvee by the rear seat. You have what's called a donkey dick, and it's a little thing that you put into the fuel can, turn it, and that way you can pour the fuel into the tank. I don't know what the actual name of it is, so I apologize for having to refer to it as a donkey ding dong.
Do not apologize.
That is his name.
Y'all, they poured gas in there using a donkey peen.
And so we
Lord
pulled those
almighty.
guys back up so that way we could return to the base. But it was just funny that, we're just, coming back after having this explosion and thinking that our day's over and, we just got to make it back, a few more miles. And then all of a sudden we get the call, hey, we're out of fuel.
Wow. Okay. So you were behind them. They were leaving and got hit by one of them mines, and you were the one taking over for them, right?
Yep.
You were supposed to be replacing them. So what happened, when they came to pick you up? Yeah, when they came to pick you up to take you back to the base, did you go to where you were intended to go, or did you go back from where you came?
No, we went back to the base where we lived at. So we all went there to sit with them and to be able to do our debrief, go over, you do what's called an after action review when you get back from every mission. You do 3 ups, 3 downs. What are things that you can improve? What things can you sustain? Any things that we saw out there that were different than before, because one of the most important things when you're out there on mission is to, know the area that you're operating in. Is there always, 2 kids and a father on this corner when you drive by, and then all of a sudden one day you drive by and those kids and the dad aren't there? Something may be going on. So
wow. I mean, my God. Earlier you told New Hampshire woman that you would tell her about a place called Ramadi.
Yes. So on tour number 3, we went to Anbar Province. Anbar Province was the west side of Iraq, and so it's where Syria borders. And Anbar Province in 2006, 2007 had what was called the Sawa, the Awakening, where they realized if they wanted to be able to get, the security taken over by their own people and to get the Americans out, that they had to, step up and actually start being a part of this transition and do things and take over more responsibility than they had been. And so having this awakening, the Anbar province went from being one of the most deadly places in the country to a place that we were able to do foot patrols in regularly. Going from, you had Fallujah, where I'm sure you guys have heard of, the battles of Fallujah that occurred. Mm-hmm. And Ramadi was a hotspot as well. You had there's an actual town called Hit, H-I-T, Hit. And then where we started out on this little base called Copy Beatty because we were on the Syrian border. But Ramadi was right in that border of the center of Iraq, right where the divide of the Sunnis and the Shiite were. And so Anbar was all Sunnis and the Baghdad area was Shiite. And so because they didn't get along, a lot of, fighting happened right there in that area of Ramadi. And the road that went from Ramadi to Baghdad and Ramadi up to Tikrit, Tampa, was just, one of the worst highways to be on. And when your husband was there, it was a brutal place to live and operate out of.
So when you guys were there, were you there to keep the 2 factions from harming each other, or like were you kind of
So toward
like a
three,
go-between?
our mission was to work with the Iraqi police. So our mission was called a PTT, a police training team, and we were supposed to embed with an Iraqi district chief of police and his staff to make sure his district, and the 3 towns that make up the district were able to function, Iraqi good enough, so that way we could, eventually check them off and say, all right, they don't need to have, American forces in the city anymore to operate. We can, rotate out and rotate home. And so, we would stay out at the base, and we'd go out there, and then they started closing down some of the bases that we were living on. So we went from the corner of the Syrian border at this little outpost where there's only like, I want to say 110 of us total that were living there. And the worst part about the outpost was the people that were running it were terrible planners. And they actually ran out of food for us because we went to go to chow hall one night for dinner, and there was just a sign that said 4 or 3. And we're like, what the hell does 4 or 3 mean? And so we walked in, and you got either 3 chicken wings or 4 jalapeno poppers. So that was the only thing that. Mm-hmm. So New Hampshire,
that was your whole food. That was it. That was all they were feeding you. You're out there doing all that work.
There's no bread. There's no salad. No bowls of cereal. Nothing. So after that meal of the 3 chicken wings or 4 poppers, the next 3 days, everything was just an MRE. They were just a table full of MREs, and just say take 1, and you would take the 1 for the morning. There was nothing set out for lunch, and then for dinner it was the same thing. We would just have the MRE set out there.
Oh my God! So you guys are out there doing all that.
Your husband was injured. Was the name Ramadi?
Yeah, somebody was in New Hampshire woman says he was a scout in an outpost.
Yeah, so with the outpost, like there was Cop Ramadi, which was like the big base, but then you would have like another little base that was called like Blue Diamond, and it was like a small little outpost where like 20 people would live there with like a squad or 2 of Iraqi army, and so they would move around areas. So instead of like what they did at first when we went into Iraq is we would clear an area and then we would leave it, but we didn't leave anybody there. So as soon as we would leave and go to the next place to fight, folks would just move back to that first place that we just cleared. So what we did is, we learned our lesson and said, hey, once we clear this area, we have to leave a contingency of people here, so that way they don't, come in like a funnel and go in after us. So we started.
Foxy Rider says that hers was a Marine sniper, and they were ambushed moving to another safe site.
I'm sorry to hear that. If there's anything that that y'all need that are covered for, with the VA or any other benefits that he may have earned, feel free to shoot me a DM on X. I'm on all socials at Hellfish Haven. It's just at Hellfish Haven for every social media that's out there. And everyone says he's winning an RPG attack. An RPG is a rocket-propelled grenade. He has chronic PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and a moderate brain injury, which is known as TBI. He was a long-distance problem solver. So with that, definitely, all the prayers and good karma to both you folks, and thank you for taking care of these individuals, in their life after these injuries, because that's something that we make sure that we included when we came up with our mission statement for Hellfish Haven, was that we wanted to include the veterans, the families, and caregivers, because there's so much that a caregiver does, and family members that become caregivers too, that do and ensure that, everything is okay with this veteran's life afterwards, because there is, acts of daily life that you lose the ability to do when they sustain these, traumatic brain injuries and these other physical injuries.
That is just amazing. With your organization, where did the name Hellfish Haven come from?
So Hellfish Haven, I wanted to do a haven because of to have a safe haven, like a place where folks would go and kind of have with the Legion and the VFW, have a place where veterans can go outside of home, outside of work. And with that, they could have a place to gather, rebuild the camaraderie, and because when you get out of the military, a lot of guys oh, F that, I'm ready to get out. But a lot of people, after a year or two, after a couple of years, sees it and says, hey, we need to get, the Legion. We need to go do something. I miss the closeness of having somebody there with you all the time. That, camaraderie of, wherever you were, you had someone, whether you liked it or not, your team was with you. You slept with them, you ate with them, you worked with them, and they pissed you the hell off. But, once they were away from you, you did start to miss them. And,
I imagine
I wanted
you
to create something where folks could rebuild that camaraderie, back here, backstage side, because there's a certain way that veterans interact with one another that even if they weren't in the same unit or even the same war, but once they sit down, with a cup of coffee, a donut, or just, some time on their hands, that they connect and they're able to share that common bound of, dealing with, the stupid shit machine, as we call it, or, dealing with the suck, and knowing that they have somebody else that, went through the same bullshit that they did, allows them to, let their guard down and talk to one another. And, we want to make sure that, folks are out there and they can do that. And Hellfish came from you saw the Simpsons logo from Grandpa Simpson. It was his World War II. He did the Hellfish. And so when I got to name my squad on my third tour, that one that was out in Anbar, I took the chance and I went and called us the Hellfish. So we did an orange Hellfish instead of the classic red.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see it. Can everybody in chat see it?
Oh, I can just do a screen share. Hold on, I'm a dummy.
Okay.
And I can show some more pictures of things because people like pictures.
I'm going to try to get into this here so I can mod up Cyber Chick real quick.
Gotcha. No screen share.
She's a mod everywhere else. She's a mod everywhere in the world except for here, and that's just my foolishness.
All right, let me know when I'm sharing.
Okay, just a second. Okay, I'm getting ready to share your thing. Here we go. There we are.
All right. So right here, what you see is this is the Hellfish. This is my squad. When you become a staff sergeant, you have a squad of people. You have a team that's dedicated to you, and then you have 3 other teams that's part of your squad. So the best job to me was being that squad leader and that connection that you have as a staff sergeant, and the way you're able to work with your guys, and you connect to the lieutenant, gives you your mission, and your platoon sergeant makes sure that you're prepared. And as a squad leader, it's kind of like the last time you're with soldiers and you're doing everything together, and like I said, you're embracing the challenges, and you're facing the combat together. And so this was the Hellfish here. These are all the guys that were in my squad on that one. And if you notice here on the arm of the Praetorian, you see a little orange thing sticking out there. Look
at all them little handsome devils. Look at y'all.
So this was me and my team leaders. So that was Sergeant Thompson. He was
Oh.
42. This was Dave Kamara. He was 29. And this was Hool. He was 30. And that was me at 28.
Oh my goodness. Good
And this was our
job.
company meeting, the Praetorians. And these are actually down in Kuwait. They get to paint these at a base called Camp Beering. Before you go up north, you go to Kuwait and you get like some additional equipment issued to you there. And all these painted jersey barriers and T-walls that are down there are still there. There's a website called like graffiti, war graffiti or something like that. And that is, it shows it's still there. People took pictures 1 or 2 years ago of it. Right here, you see
Really?
the arms. You see the hellfish on the arm. You see that one
I
there.
see it.
You see that one there. So this one is mine,
Yeah.
and then that's one of my soldiers, Ken. And we put it on the painting, and they get real mad that we put it on there.
Why
we
did they
wanted
get
to-
mad?
That hellfish, image, because it represented our squad, not the whole company, and it was supposed to be a picture for the company. But we figured since our guys painted it, that they deserve to put their little signatures on it.
That is really neat. And you say it's still there to this day. It's still there.
It is.
Why? Wait, go back. No, you ain't getting away with it. No, stop.
Mhm.
You know exactly why I told you. You ain't getting away with just scrolling past that. No. Why do you have one of those terrible chickens?
So when you go overseas, you take a 17-hour flight from the States to Ireland, to Turkey, to Germany. You stop somewhere in between, and then you go to Kuwait. But it's a 17-hour flight altogether. And the chicken is a good way to wake up soldiers when they have to change and be on guard duty to watch the weapons. While folks are just hanging out on the plane, or when folks have to go and we do get off the plane for a little while. You got to make sure people are alert and don't let anybody on board. So the chicken is a little wake up call. So he would get right in people's faces and let out a good squeal.
Oh
Folks
my
did,
God.
They did not appreciate that one.
Yeah, my dog has one of those, and I want to beat her over the head with it every time she comes in the room with it. Look at all y'all.
You can see here too, the MP Brizard changed once we did the Velcro. It went to a patch instead of the big Brizard.
Wow.
We had to fix up some of the Humvees, rip the parts out of them, replace them before we went to our base. My soldiers stole the chicken from me, and they held it hostage.
I think this comment I'm putting on the screen is so apropos.
What does it say?
There is no humor like Army humor. There's just
So
my better get that off the screen before YouTube has a fit.
So my soldiers put that on my laptop as the background, and I then made all my soldiers get in a line and hold their hands out like this to see who had the hairy palm.
Oh my God.
And that's how I figured out who it was. So I made these custom hellfish patches for my soldiers. And I gave them to them one night. Like we had already done the ceremony to get their combat patch. So they already had been awarded their combat patch. I wanted to award them something special for me to, say thank you for, all their hard work and what they've been doing so far in the tour. And so I gave them each a hellfish patch, and we told them for the night they could wear it, or they could put it on their vest afterwards. They just couldn't wear it on the uniform. And we actually had a major pop in the back door while I had my head in talking to my soldiers. Like we had an area that was secure, but we had a cloth in front of it, and you could stick your head in and you could talk to the guys in the other room. But the place where my body was a secret place. And so when the major came in, I had one of the Marines grab the patch and ripped it off my sleeve and tucked it in his pocket. So that way the major didn't see me wearing the unauthorized patch. And he goes, if I ever see you in the real world, you owe me a beer for that one.
Oh boy.
Because you can see it there.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I can see it better in that one. Look at that. Look at y'all. Look at y'all.
This
Look,
is
baby faces.
that's Private Doonan. He is one of the ones that is unfortunately no longer with us.
Oh no.
And about him, I do want to share something that we've created. Here, I'll have to pull it up in a couple minutes and show. But like, everyone was just excited to get the patch and do their be silly for a couple minutes. You try to enjoy the time. Guys over here playing. Was the Halo in the back?
Uh-huh. Oh my goodness.
So we had set up a satellite dish on top of this building was just made of wood. And watching the baseball
Wow.
games at like 3 a.m. I'm just a little kid then.
Just baby faces. Look at y'all.
Mhm.
Oh my
And this was
goodness.
the Iraqi police that we were working with. This was how they set up their trucks.
Wait, that's the Iraqi Popo car?
Yeah. It's literally a swivel chair, like on steel beams, like welded.
Well, they weren't very well protected.
Nope. And this was the little base that we were on. That was just the 100 of us.
I see y'all at least were given a luxury restroom.
Yep. This was the building that we lived in. These are just HESCO barriers. They're filled with just sand. And then there's just plywood on the top.
Well,
and then occasionally you get little critters that crawl in and be your roommate.
oh no, see y'all better people than me. So
And
what
then
city is that right
This
there?
is-
It looks like
this
there's
is,
a city back there or something.
Yeah, so this city was called Anna, ANNA. And this city was the first one that I had. This was the district I had was Rawa Anna district. They were the ones that I was in charge of at first. But I went from being in charge of that district, and then we had a guy get fired. So I went from being in first platoon as the third squad leader, so like the third man on you're the first squad leader, second and third. So I was number 3 in the platoon there. And then I went to the other platoon. I became third platoon, first squad leader. So I became the top guy in the other platoon once a couple guys got fired for not doing their jobs.
Whoa.
So
Is that same that picture that's up? Is that same Iraqi police vehicle?
Same station, different truck. We had what was going on with these ones is they were giving these F-350s. We gave them to them, like the U.S. did. These are like $80,000, $90,000 trucks, and we would give them 6 at a time. And then we go back a week later, and they would have 1 or none of them left. And they were giving them their
what were they doing with them?
They trade them for fuel to other people. They give them to the local religious leaders. They would put them at an area for a traffic control point, and then rip the tires off and sell the tires for money for other things. And we giving them to you guys for you guys to patrol with, to have to do stuff like this. And they didn't quite understand that, so we had to work a lot with them of give and take to get them to be a higher standard than they were when we got there. And they all wore different uniforms. These are all Iraqi police, and yet you've seen them wearing 4 different types of uniforms. And this was our linguist here. His name was Omar. He's a good dude. Omar would teach me enough Arabic that I could go into a meeting and somebody could ask a question and I could answer it before he would translate. So that way it made the room believe that I spoke full Arabic, and it gave me a little more wasta is what they called it, and gave me more respect to the people that I was talking to, that I learned their language.
Jen says, Hellfish, how do you think our presence there impacted that area?
With this area, I was excited to see it was the last one that fell to ISIS when it all did. I was proud of my guys for that. But, everything, went to shit when we pulled everything out. And then we, went back in to put more guys in there and fell back again. It's just, I don't feel we have the right people in charge of security over there, to be able to sustain their areas. I think they do need local people to be in charge of it and they also need the people in the towns to be provided with, rice, basic, daily necessities and things like that. I'm gonna close this down.
Okay.
They need to be able to have like rice and things like that, to be able to. If you don't have basic supplies, the next person that comes into town with a gun and a bag of rice, you're going to listen to and work for them. So we saw that happen a lot where folks would flip-flop from working with the Americans to working with what became ISIS and then back. So we just wanted to, make sure that we could provide them with what we had when we were there, but to lead them to work with the local Iraqis in their area. So we tried to train them the best we could. And, for me and my guys, we took it serious and we wanted to make sure that we enabled them to be able to protect their own, that they were able to shoot their weapons, that they were able to, use defensive tactics. And we even did a class on tactical site exploitation where we blew up a car bomb on base. And we taught them how to find what type of explosive it was, things like that, how they could, trace back the explosive into, where it came from and, what types of, materials were in there. So we really, focused on, leaving them off in a better place than we, first got them.
Wow. Holy cow.
And
That's-
up north in Iraq, where we met with the Kurds, it was kind of wild because they were the ones that Saddam was wiping out. He was causing, a complete genocide of the Kurdish people. And my first tour in 2004, I had a Kurdish soldier that was in the Iraqi army come up and give me a kiss on both cheeks and say thank you that Saddam has killed his parents when he was younger. And a lot of them didn't like the pistol. They were more scared of a pistol than they were a machine gun because Saddam used to use a pistol to do his executions.
Holy cow. I mean, God, what a place. I mean, Jesus.
So
It's
when I would
just-
be,
I don't know how you did it.
more, often I would take the 9mm out and be able to clear traffic out of the way using that versus, if I pointed the machine gun towards the vehicle, they'd be like, whatever.
That's unreal. I just don't, I cannot imagine being there. I cannot imagine going through, all the things you all went through with the vehicle, with getting hurt, with not having the food that you need, the luxury restroom accommodations, of course. The critters coming in through a plywood building.
Those porta johns in the summer, it would get up to 130 during the day. And it would just be you just didn't go to the bathroom during those times. You would just be, nope, I'm just gonna wait till later because you wouldn't go inside the sweat box. And they didn't get cleaned out as often as they do back home. So it was just real bad.
Mm-hmm. I mean, just, yeah. Well, I don't know. I feel like, when our fellas go, the people like you and people that are in now and everything, they have made a conscious decision that they are willing to no longer be a part of this earth for our freedoms and to not provide certain things it's hard to imagine. And I mean, one of the things that I was wondering about is kind of you run this organization and you're helping people, what is like one moment or a personal experience or more than one? Please feel free. We are all here to hear you, that made you realize that like the traditional organizations, the traditional ways just weren't quite cutting it for like the modern generation of veterans, your Gen X, your millennials, your Gen Z. It just wasn't cutting it anymore.
So what I saw was happening was like you would go and you would go to an area that had a Legion or a VFW in it, and you would see what was going on. You would see events that these guys used to hold spaghetti dinners, and they would have dance nights, and they would do karaoke, and they would do all these different things. But yet, when it came to things that were involving our generation, even Desert Storm veterans, we just weren't seeing the engagement. We weren't seeing folks being out there to say, here's the next generation that's going to take over. And I felt that it was we weren't being slighted, but our needs weren't being looked at. They were just, like I said, they were stuck in their way that they were before. This is how we've done it. This is how we're going to continue to do it. And seeing that, even as a commander, so my Legion post in Foxborough actually sold the post and closed their doors.
I'm so sorry.
No worries.
My dog is upstairs freaking out.
They decided that they were going to close down shop completely. And so downstairs, how it was, was a dingy old basement. It was,
Hellfish. I'll be right back. My dog is freaking out. Just keep telling the story, baby.
I got you. So the Legion had the pool table downstairs. It had I just got a pinball machine down there. We got Buck Hunter down there, and we had the bar down there. And so it was nice to have it. And we wanted folks to be able to come in. They played the Golden Tee and the Silver bowling game, but all we had down there was a urinal, only a urinal. So it was not, advantageous for females to be able to come into the post. It wasn't, welcoming for older folks that had to be able to walk down the staircase to come in. It wasn't a good place to be for for folks to come. So I asked, hey, can we go ahead and have the bar moved upstairs when it's not a function going on? Can we have the bar upstairs so that way female patrons can use the restroom, so that way older veterans can come and use the ramp to come up and enjoy the facility? And they told me, no, we can't do that, we're not going to. And the trustees outvoted me on it twice. And then after that, I resigned from being commander because I was like, I couldn't do it. And I was like, I couldn't just keep going and looking at these guys and telling them month after month that this is the Legion, we're looking out for you in your best interest, and this is how we're doing it, when in reality they were getting ready to close up the building and close the doors and remove another place for veterans to have in the town. So now that Legion post just meets at the VFW, which isn't even owned by the town either, because somebody fell in the parking lot and nobody went to the court hearing for it. And so they got the judgment against the VFW. And then because of that, they had to sell the building. And when they advertised it in the newspaper, they didn't advertise it in the local newspaper in the Foxborough, Norfolk County area. They advertised it out in Western Mass, out in Pittsfield, to get the auction. And they auctioned off out in Western Mass, and they lost the building. So they still call it the V because they want to make it seem like it's supporting the veterans if you rent the hall in Foxborough. But the basement is the only thing, again, that belongs to the veterans. So the VFW and the American Legion are, just in this basement, when the hall that gets rented for, several $100s an evening, when people think they're helping support the veterans because it's called the V, are just, supporting this, gentleman and his, agency that buys buildings.
Wow. So you came up with an idea to have your organization. Like, what took you there, though? What was the biggest hurdle in it? What was the biggest hurdle when you transitioned, like, from Hellfish Haven being like an idea to actually becoming an official organization? Like, what was the biggest thing that you faced standing in your way?
So during COVID, I saw that there wasn't a lot to be able to be done, and a lot of things were going on virtually. A lot of guys were digitally connecting via online gaming. Whether it was PC gaming, Xbox, PlayStation Online, didn't matter what device they were using. Guys were going online and connecting to folks that way. There are different programs that were out there that were doing a digital connection to folks and doing that, and like and seeing like peer support activities happen, and learning more and more that veterans, especially older veterans, are not very literate digitally. They don't have a good sense of how to use digital devices. Like during COVID, they gave these guys that live in a homeless shelter, they gave them all iPads, but they didn't teach them how to use them. So a lot of these guys just had these iPads in their room as a paperweight. So it was like, all right, what's the good giving these guys, these wonderful things to use to be able to contact, family or friends, to be able to, read a book with, to be able to, play a game on, to be able to escape, things going on in their mind, and to be able to work with their doctors, to be able to do virtual appointments if you don't teach them how to use it. So when I first opened, it was still during, the COVID times. And I actually opened up at a place called Brighton Marine, and I requested 2 offices right next to each other. So that way, one office would be the community area, the gaming area. We had a couple of TVs up on the wall. We had the different systems, all the different consoles that you could interchange in the TVs. We had a bookshelf with different books and magazines for folks to read. We had another bookshelf with the different board games and card games that guys could use and play with. And then the other room we had set up as like a computer lab. We had 4 laptops all set up, so guys could come in, do education, employment, benefits, or be able to actually learn how to use the different things. Because what I did is, as soon as I found out about the iPad situation, I offered to give a class. They thought I was part of Bright Marine, the grounds that the homeless shelter was on, and didn't show up the first time. But then once I met one of the guys that I actually lived with in the homeless shelter back in Somerville, because prior to this, I had been in a homeless shelter for veterans. And one of the guys that I lived there with, I ran into here at this shelter, and he was there, and he said, "Hey, is that you giving that class?" And I said, "Yep." And so because of that, he started sending guys over to me one by one, and they would come and do a one-on-one class on how to use the iPads. So I would sit down with them and go over the class on how to open it, and I gave them, these paper printouts. This is what the screen looks like. Flip it. This is what the the next page is going to be like, and they could do a page-by-page manual to see how to open different apps and how to do things on their iPads. Like one guy had put in the password so many times wrong that he was like locked out for like 118 days.
Oh my God.
Because it keeps doubling the time that you get locked out for if you keep entering the wrong things. Because you get locked out for 24 hours and then 48, and then it just keeps going.
So they didn't even have anybody there to instruct them how to. They just gave it to them and said, "Here, we've helped you. Bye."
Yep, that was how a lot of programs during COVID were just all right. Here's a group of people that we can support with whatever donation, and then obviously whatever organization was doing it would come, take the picture, drop it off, and then leave. And they wouldn't they didn't stay to support the guys and explain it and do it. So a lot of times things like that would happen. And a lot of times I learned of different programs while I was in Bright Marine operating out of there. And I would have guys come over and work with them in the computers and get them to be able to understand the benefits that they earned. And I'd also do a Tuesday night peer support group, because I also got qualified by depression, bipolar, and substance abuse. It's an organization out of Chicago, DBSA. I got certified as a peer support specialist from them. They're the same ones that certify the VA to do their peer support. So I wanted to make sure that I had the same training that they had, so that way if people would come, and work with us, that I had the same exact skill set, to be competitive, with the folks that are at the VA. I wanted to give the people the same, the same knowledge, the same experience, just in a more comfortable environment where they would, feel comfortable speaking one-on-one to me as a fellow veteran, versus going into the hospital to talk to somebody.
Well, I imagine that would be a little more comfortable, considering, everything people have been through. They want to talk to somebody who's, maybe not physically was there with them, but has been there with them.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Yep.
Like
And
it's hard for people to understand when they haven't been through it. That's why we're doing this.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, it's, I feel like that's something else that you don't see as much now, is like there is a disconnect between the military and veteran community and so many people, now, because it is an all volunteer force and it has been for so long. And to see, if you don't have somebody in your life that is in the service, you can really be, blind to what, folks go through and what they endure in the service. And then the fight to get your benefits after the service. Like, that's the most disgusting part to me, is that folks have to go to the VA. You have to prove your disabilities. You have to prove your, what happened. You have to have witness statements. You have to have it on your record. You have to have, X, Y, and Z condition with, certain, things that happen to you afterwards. And, you have to have certain reactions, and you have to have certain, afflictions. And if you don't have it exactly, you don't meet the standard, and then you don't get the rating. But folks are out here thinking that, veterans are just getting a rating willy-nilly and being like, oh, we don't want to work and we don't want to do anything because we're getting a rating for the VA. When really you're going to the VA and you're reliving, some of the worst days of your life again to somebody to tell them, why you're injured, especially if you have a mental health disability. Folks are going in there explaining, an MST, a military sexual trauma. They're explaining, PTS, post-traumatic stress. Guys are going in there and getting, examined for TBI, traumatic brain injury. Folks are going in there with all these different things that are happening, and it's not just, you don't just get PTSD from, from going to combat. Guys can, have PTSD from a severe, motorcycle accident. You could have it from, being jumped in a bar fight. There's so many different things that happen that could cause PTSD, and especially, with males and females that endure a military sexual trauma. That is one of the biggest things out there that is, underreported. And, that's one of the things that as a military police soldier, we took the reports and we were out there to make sure that, things did get reported, and that we had boxes along the base where folks would do an anonymous, report. And we wanted to make sure that things stay like that. And that's why it was so important to move the way that the military justice system works, because it used to just be the commander of that soldier would say, all right, what happened? All right, good. This is it. That's how it goes. And then it went to, no, now there's a liaison that comes in and works and makes sure that, everything is by the right. And so now we're making sure that folks aren't, getting trapped in a situation where they're stuck with their abuser and things like that. And we want to make sure that, that folks, are willing to seek help for their mental health. Because when I went through the service, it was very stigmatized. It was very, you don't report that you're sick. You don't say that anything's going on with you, because you want to get able to go home. After you get home from Iraq, you don't want to get stuck, in a hold station. You don't want to get stuck in a medical unit while they, poke your brain and figure out what's wrong with you. So a lot of guys just look at the sheet and say, nope, nothing's wrong with me. I'm fine. So they can get home. And because of that, because of that stigma, it causes a lot of guys to, later on when they have to show what, is happening to them and what they're struggling with, it's tougher for them to do that because they don't have the documentation for it.
That's wild. So like with your organization, they don't have to go through all of, and for some people, humiliating experiences, for some extremely mentally challenging experiences, things that are devastating to them. And you guys have a connection before crisis philosophy going on in there. What do you feel like makes that like successful for you? How do these guys respond to that for you?
So a lot of the organizations that are out there that, especially next month is September is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. A lot of these organizations are going to say, here are the signs what to look for. Here's what you see. Here's what you got to do. And like for us, we're more, action based. We want to like get involved with somebody. We want to make sure that you've got somebody that's there to notice the changes in you before you get to the, your boiling point. We want to be able to help you before you're that stage 4 ready to explode. We want to be able to help folks when they're, they're just having a couple bad days in a row and they need to break that cycle. We want to help guys understand that, if you get a couple, small wins pieced together, that those small wins, you can build up to be something more substantial and, and get yourself, in a better headspace because of that. Because if you just, if you feel like you're losing left and right, and then all of a sudden, you got today where, you got out there, you took the dog for a walk around, 3-4 blocks instead of, just being stuck in the house all day. That's a win for you that day. That's something you can mark down. The next day, you take the dog for a walk again, and you got out there and, you clean out the garage, just these small things that you can build upon that can really, make you in a better place, physically and mentally. And we try to, get guys to understand how to work with that before they get to the boiling point. Because when you're at that point of, you're about to make the decision that you can't unmake, you're either there or you're not. And like most people, like when they're at that point, there's no turning back. There's only, the seconds or minutes that you could, make them change their mind. And it's like, we want to get the guys well before that happens, because the best thing that you can do is like one of the things that we have and we do is an ammo can of hope. And so ammo can of hope is it's like a hope box, like anything else. It's just you got an ammo can of hope.
Your camera absconded away from you.
So you got an ammo can.
And what does that contain for the guys?
So for this, like, I just put in like a silly, like a Goosebumps book. I've got some. Hold on a second. I might flip the camera off for a minute and just tell you guys what.
You're fine. He's working on it, y'all, and it's worth the wait, don't you think? Yeah, the camera's being naughty, but that's okay. It's worth the wait. I mean, there's so much knowledge contained inside his little head, even after he got his nuggets flicked. So yeah, this is some amazing stuff we're learning today. I feel like it's absolutely amazing. And don't worry, Dar, I'm going to get to your questions soon. As soon as we can. And there's so many stories that are coming through chat that are just amazing, and they're amazing and they're funny and they're devastating. And it's a roller coaster coming through here today. And, I just want y'all to know that I am so grateful to each and every one of you for being here to support an American hero, to support all of our American heroes, to be here to hear the stories, to hear about the organization, to be willing to learn, be willing to listen. You know, sometimes that's one of the most important things that anybody can do is just be willing to listen. And there's so many people out there that just don't have that in them, you know, that, and then we have Hellfish here that just, not only does he have to go through these things, does he have the struggles, but that he is willing to help so many other people through it. You know, he's willing to say, you know, here's my hand. You know, take my hand and go through this with me. Let me help you go through it. It's amazing. It really is. Haley Mouse says, I'm always so humbled by people who have their own struggles that manage to do so much to help others. Hellfish is a great example of that, still being a hero. And ain't that just so? Ain't that the truth? I believe he's trying to fix his camera, y'all. I do believe. And Tiffany Bob says, listening and validating what people feeling sometimes can make such a huge difference. Can't it? I mean, really. You know, when I was diagnosed myself, it was incredibly hard. And I had nobody. And then, you know, to this day, there's just nobody out there that helps, like, you know, just your average woman going through life with the struggles. And when you listen to Hellfish, you know that not only is he a hero to our American service members, to our American veterans, but to all of us, really. You know, who among us does not feel like we couldn't reach out? Who among anybody here feels like they could not get a hold of him and talk to him, even though they haven't served? I don't think there's a single person in here that feels that way. I know I don't. I really truly believe that. But yeah, we've got so much to learn. You know, it's about time we did it. What else do we got here? Tiffany Bob said up here, I'm in support of anything that will help improve mental health for the military, the families, and anyone that needs mental health help. Thank you for this stream. Tiffany Bob, you are more than welcome, but it's really thank Hellfish for being here to teach us and to let us know what's going on. And also said, I wish there was way more preparation for the soldiers and their families before they're sent to war. None of us were prepared in the least. It broke my family. I'm so sorry about that. I really am so sorry about that. And see, Dar even understands you don't have to serve or have served to ask Hellfish for help. And ain't that the truth? Ain't that what we're all learning? You know, it's a pretty amazing thing, you know, that somebody's willing to do, and to do for all of us and all of his veterans that he helps. There he is. He's back.
Howdy. Yep.
Did you get your lipstick and your eyeliner fixed?
I did, and you know, a little smudgy, but you know.
Oh,
I had to
looks.
Get the waterproof on. You know, because
You put the little, get the wings on there.
Yeah, so you know, get a little crimping going. You know.
Good Lord. You mentioned about the video games,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and all that, which is great, you know, but I'm curious because I was kind of reading up on this stuff. So there are so many serious things. It's like a heavy heavy reality of the mental health and the self-harm prevention, and advocating for people. So how do you balance that? How do you balance out the fun and the casual nature of the gaming community with something so heavy and so serious? Where do you find that balance?
So for me, like, I see that, like, sometimes we have to, like, look and see, like, the best way to do things. Like, for instance, we do a coffee and camaraderie event. The coffee and camaraderie event is a twofold. It allows people to come out here, have a event where they can not just be the veterans by themselves hanging out together. Like, if you have a weekend, and you don't work, you want to be able to spend it with your family and be able to spend it with, some fellow veterans, to be able to get that time to, like I said, rebuild that camaraderie. So we do the coffee and camaraderie event. So that way you can bring your family, you can bring the kids, and they can play, a couple of video games, or they can play Knock'em Sock'em Robots, or different, games that they may never play before, that, mom and dad have played and enjoyed before, that they can teach the kids, and the kids can play together while, I'm able to teach the veteran as they come in, the different programs that are available, the different apps that are out there. And, we let them kind of take the lead on how comfortable they are and what they're looking for. We'll ask a couple of questions, but we're not going to, intrude on their reason for being here today. Their what they're looking to get out of it. We, ask them if they're a member of the VFW, if they qualify for it, if they'd like to join, they get a free year. And then after that, we basically say, there's some donuts, there's some coffee, enjoy, and, we make sure that everybody is comfortable in the setting. And then as it goes on, I may point out, hey, over on that table over there, we've got all these different apps that the VA have to be able to use. You've got a mindfulness app, you've got insomnia apps, you've got CPT apps, you've got an app for couples coach, you've got an app for a PTSD coach, you've got a PTSD family coach, where it tells you, how to work with your loved one who's dealing with PTSD. And all these different things that are out there is, they're such an amazing resource, but if they're not known about, it's not helping anybody. So we want to make sure that these resources aren't just out there and in Hellfish's head, but they're out there and being shared. Whenever something is taught to me, I try to make sure that I teach it at least one other person, because some people, take knowledge in and they're like, the person with the most knowledge wins. And it's like, that's not how it should be. It's like, if you learn about a program, or you learn about a system, or you learn about a benefit that veterans have earned through their service, you should be out there, yelling at the corner, so everyone can know that qualifies for it through their service, what they're, what's available to them to help them make, a day a little bit easier.
I love the idea that you have a couples app, because the family that is left behind, when their service member is deployed, they're going through it too. They're going through it too. They're worried. If they don't hear from their loved one, they become extremely fearful. And when their loved one comes home, that they're dealing with something that their family has never seen them deal with. And then their family is dealing with it on top of that, to the side of it. And there's nothing easy about that for anybody.
No, and I'll do a screen share again for a second here. I'm just gonna go over and add it over here. All right, Zach. Good to see he's behaving over there.
Oh, he better behave, or I won't let him play with no ducks today.
Right.
Okay, let me get that up for you.
Thank you, Annie.
There you go.
So one of the big programs that is critically underrated and under shared is the VA Whole Health Program. They have virtual resources. They have resources for you to be able to get acupuncture, for you to be able to do Tai Chi, for you to be able to do mindfulness, breathing exercises. There are podcasts, there are videos, there are so many different things. if you go to the VA and you look up, va.gov/whole health. And right here is one of the subsections of it, the virtual resources. So you can see you got information here. You can download the app. You can get the series or you can get the podcast episodes. But look, you've got breathing for stress relief. Quick breathing techniques that can melt stress fast, reset your day. You can watch the practices here on the YouTube channel. You got stretch, ways to stretch and the Tai Chi sessions. Boost your mood. 5 ways to boost your wellness. Simple habits, better night sleeping, to eating a good breakfast, ways that can help you, feel better and help caregivers too. So all of these things are not just for the veteran. And a lot of these programs aren't even veteran centric. They are for people centric. They are for somebody that's, looking to improve their wellness or their mental health. A lot of these programs, just because it's on a veteran website doesn't mean it's just for veterans.
That does make sense.
Mhm.
That's amazing right there. People can just get on there and just click it just that easily. So that's really good. But
And
the
right
whole
here, I'm
health
going to click right here, the VA App Store.
That's within the whole
And you can
health
see
area.
right here is, I'm just going to click the App Store real quick. So like you can see like the featured apps, the health and benefits, connecting, virtual care, and then like I said, you got like mindfulness coach. And all you got to do is click up on the corner here on the sidebar, your apps for veterans, your apps for caregivers, and then go ahead and check it out.
And look at you
And-
teaching today. Foxy Rider says that she had no idea that the VA had that, and to thank you.
Not a problem. Like I said, right here, anger management. Beyond MST, here's a great program for coping tools and free resources for MST. Both men and women that have been through MST. If you're a male that has been through MST, you don't need to be afraid to seek out resources like this. You can be in the confidential screen of yourself. And for females that have been through the trauma of MST, a lot of these apps will have a quick escape button on it. So that way, if you're uncomfortable looking at it in the surroundings that you're in, there is a quick escape button so that you guys know about that.
Wow.
And like concussion coach,
That's
couples coach.
amazing.
And like all of these resources are available for the whole health.
So Lily asked, why isn't dental covered for veterans?
Okay. You stop sharing, come back over. So it is only covered if you are 100% or if you're service connected for a dental injury. Say you got hit in the face with a rifle butt, like the buttstock of a rifle, popped you in the face, and you had to replace a tooth or get a fakey put in. Then you would be covered for dental by the VA. But they only cover right now folks that are you got to be in a homeless program for 6 months to be able to qualify for dental. They will, anybody that's in the homeless program, they will support you to be able to get your chompers fixed. So that way, once you go back, from being in a situation that's less than desirable, being housing insecure, last thing a lot of guys are thinking about is their hygiene and their oral health. And a lot of guys lose a couple of their chiclets, and they need to get some serious work done. And that's one of the things that the VA does, is they make sure they take care of the guys in the homeless program, and they get them the coverage for the VA dental care. And they can get, depending on their age and their willingness to work with the providers, you can get, anywhere from implants to dentures to, a replacement tooth or, caps. They've got all sorts of, anything that's available in the dental world is available at the VA. But you have to be in the homeless program or 100% connected VA compensation. So your VA rating has to be 100%, and then you also qualify for the dental program.
So we were talking about the whole health area before, and
Mhm.
when somebody reaches out to you, when a veteran says, Hellfish, I need help. I do need help. How how do you, when you speak to them, go about kind of pitching that mindfulness to maybe a demographic that would be kind of skeptical? They might think, oh, that mental health business, that's just for soft folks, because I mean, you got a lot of Gen Xers. So how would you pitch that to them without them thinking they were being soft?
So a lot of it is like, you can talk about the acupuncture, and have a guy go into a session of doing that. They go in and they get the acupuncture and see how it works for them. You get them to go in and and try these different things out, or you can get them to go on the mindfulness app and and do a breathing exercise with you and see how they feel a couple minutes afterwards. And if you get somebody to actually really commit to some of these breathing exercises and commit to you know making their body feel lighter, or like relaxing your muscles from your feet always to your head, or you do some of the tapping exercises, or you do you look around, 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can hear, 3 things that you can smell, 2 things that you can touch, 1 thing that you can taste. And as you put these things into your mind, it pushes the other things out, and it will actually relax the person, and take that stress that's might be at a high level for them, and push it out. And if they're willing to do that with you there in the office, then you can offer them more resources, and or if they're doing it over a virtual call with you, you can share the other resources that are available to them. Whether it's the mindfulness app, whether it's guided meditation. You can try these different things and say, hey, maybe just listen to some white noise tonight before you go to bed, when you go to sleep, and see if that helps. There's also brown noise stuff there too. And so we just want to let these people know that there's so many different things out there, that you don't have to just stay to the, drink some water, have some Motrin, rub some dirt on your cut, and you're going to be better.
Rub some dirt on it, walk it off.
Yeah.
Lord,
that was the old way of it. It's just,
that's
rub
Gen
dirt on
X
it,
right
water.
there. But yeah, like
Lots of guys having, Motrin too, because like Motrin 800, they call them, Skittles in the military, because of, how often a Motrin 800 is prescribed to somebody. And they actually had to make naproxen because folks had got so used to having Motrin that it wasn't working for them anymore. So that's how naproxen got made.
I know on the Appalachian Trail, we have a thing, and it's every year. It's called the Warrior Hike, and I did a through hike of the trail. That's why I say we, but it's a warrior hike out there, and it's for veterans to walk off the war, basically hike off the war, and everybody carries the big old ibuprofens, and all of the military guys call it vitamin I.
Yep.
That every one of them, they're like, oh, got to take my vitamin I, but that's a walk off the war thing. But as far as like your organization is helping people in ways that like maybe your more traditional ones don't. So what are some needs? What are some issues right now that are kind of under-resourced, issues that are being overlooked and that really need to have a spotlight on them, and that you're trying to get that in there for people?
Well, if you can go to the page that I'm sharing right now, I can show you a page on the Haven website called Resources for Vets.
And that's on your website.
Yep. So this is on hellfishhaven.org. And then you click up at the top, and it'll be resources for vets. And these are all organizations that I've personally vetted, and have personally gone through the phone call to the organization, to the getting care from the organization, to make sure that anything that I refer to somebody, I've actually physically gone through myself and know that it works, and know that it's safe for the veteran to use.
Well, I'm glad that site's up there, because that leads me to what I was going to ask you about next,
Mm-hmm.
which is right in the center of the screen, Operation Delta Dog.
Yep.
What do you know about that?
So the folks over here at the beginning saw my service dog, jump in the screen and say hello. Jose has been with me for 5 years, and now that I said his name, he's gonna want to come over and say hi. It's okay, buddy. You can lay down. You're doing good.
He just a baby.
Mm-hmm. But so Operation Delta Dog provides service dogs. They take dogs from shelters and give them a second chance at life to become service dogs. And if they wind up not being able to meet the required training to become a service dog, then they go ahead and adopt them off to families in the area to make sure that they can, go to a good home instead of, into the other avenue that dogs wind up when they stay at shelters.
So is there
So,
an application process for Operation Delta Dog?
Like Jose, he was actually found in Georgia using barbed wire, and they got him out of there and then shipped him up to New Hampshire. As long as you are in Massachusetts or within an hour of Hollis, New Hampshire, they will more than likely accept you right away. If you're outside of an hour from Hollis, New Hampshire, you may have to, work on a commitment to say, hey, I'll be there for these, twice a week training sessions and things like that to be able to get in. But you go in, if you go to operationdeltadog.com, you should be able to just click here and I'm going to share this tab instead. You go right here and you click up veteran resources, application process.
Oh.
See this guy right here?
Oh, look at the boobies.
That's Jose.
Oh, look at the doggo.
That's Jose when he was a little guy. Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness.
So you right here,
That
click apply for service dog.
And how can people
It's a very
donate to
short
that?
application.
How can people donate
folks
to
wanna
that
donate-
to help the dogs?
1 second. Same thing. Go to the homepage. Click ways to give, and then you can click donate today.
Okay. Awesome. See, that's so good.
And,
So,
folks like Cyberchick did a donation of her YouTube stream income of the last month to Operation Delta Dog. So just want to say,
That
thank
is
you very
so
much.
cool.
You're helping a lot of
is-
veterans and a lot of pups be able to, get out of a kill shelter and to get out of, possibly, taking their own lives, being stuck in their head. So thank you.
and that is amazing. Like over the last decade, I know you've seen the support systems. Maybe some have fallen by the wayside or stuck in the old patterns, and there's some that have probably grown. Like yours, you've outgrown the old ways. Where do you think it still needs to grow? Where do you think things still need to be moving forward that aren't quite there yet?
I think the whole, our motto for Hellfish Haven, the silence the stigma. I think that stigma surrounding mental health is still a cloud over the community. It's still a cloud over, military personnel. Still a cloud over, men in general to seeking care for, their physical health as well as their mental health. There's a reason why a lot of men die earlier because they're too stubborn to go to see the doctor. And it's like, and a lot of times too, you see that when you go in later on in life, that a lot of people don't have as many friends, and like not having that connection with others really does affect your mental health and your mental well-being. So, finding your tribe and finding your community, is such an important thing. Like, even if you're not going to connect back with other veterans, if you connect with, other people that, work at a shelter for dogs, if you find that that's your thing to do, you go walk pups once a week with, other volunteers and things like that. There are so many different opportunities out there to do something to give back, and, giving back also releases that, that dopamine in you to be able to give you a rush of goodness and be able to say, hey, you're doing something not just for yourself, and that helps, give you a reason to do things. And that's also one of the reasons that, a service dog does help people is, you've got that dog now you got to take care of, not just yourself. And, that pushes a lot of these guys, through the funk. I've seen some of these guys in class with me go from being, just sitting there like this the whole time to being, lovey-dovey dog dads.
Oh, that's so good. That's amazing. Something I wanted to ask that I'm sure people really do need to understand is, what is the hardest part about transitioning from your military life, and all of a sudden you're thrown back into the civilian world and you've still got all this going on inside you? What's the hardest part for these modern veterans of transitioning to that?
I think the hardest part is, like, I imagine you lose that camaraderie. You went from having someone with you 24/7 to talk to, somebody passes away in your family, you've got somebody to hear you, you've got somebody to keep you, occupied, and you don't get stuck in your own thoughts. You don't get stuck in, a depression because you got somebody that's going to come and, kick your bunk and say, hey, let's go play, some Modern Warfare, or like, hey, let's go golfing today. Like, you've got somebody always around and willing to do something, even if it's not your teammate or your squad members. It's, somebody in the other platoon or somebody in headquarters that you're friends with. You always had these people around you all the time, and then all of a sudden you're cut out and you don't. And then that, that loneliness, that, separation. And then when you get out to, a lot of people don't feel like they have, it's, what's it called? It's not moral injury. It's,
So they
imposter
lose that
syndrome.
camaraderie.
It's called imposter syndrome. Yeah,
Imposter.
like Zach said, the loss of having a mission. You don't have a mission. You feel like you're fake, and you don't like rate things anymore. You don't feel like you don't feel like you belong in the civilian world because you're so far behind, education wise, or with what's going on locally. Like, you feel like out of place where you are at home, but you also feel out of place, being out of the service. So you don't know where you actually fit in the world. And that imposter syndrome can eat guys up. And like, that's one of the things that, I think if we could really push to get people to understand and to figure out, would be, taking care of that aspect of things.
And Dar put something on there that is very real: survivor guilt.
Yes, that is a real son of a gun. A friend of mine, his cousin, joined the military, partly because of seeing, me go through the service and me go through my first tour. He wound up going to Iraq, and he did not make it home. He was there 35 days and was shot by a sniper. And, to go to his services and, to see his family and to be questioned, why am I here and their son isn't? It's like, it's something that, will always stick with me, and always, I'll never feel comfortable telling somebody to join the service, to go in and do something, unless I was with them. And that's why I did so many tours. That's why I went back. I did, 2004, 2005, 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010, and 2012 overseas, was because I felt if I wasn't there, I couldn't, protect these people. I couldn't, make sure that they were going to get home safe. And so I didn't want to have another incident like what happened with Matt happen here.
Yeah, that's a hard one. That's a very, very difficult one. You do a podcast, the War Podcast.
Yes.
Can you tell the chat about the War Podcast?
So War is WAR, War, We Are Resilient. And myself and Travis Partington, he's a United States Marine Corps veteran. We do it each week on Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time. and we just talk about, some of the good things that are going on in the veteran community. We try to shine a positive light on things because there's so many podcasts that are out there that are like, there's so much negativity out there, and the VA is bad because of this, and the world is bad because of this, and this person sucks because of this. That we try to have like, hey, this organization is doing good stuff. This organization can help you with this. Shine a light on a resource people might not know about.
And how do in doing all of this work that you do, how do you handle the burnout? It's a demanding role that you've taken on. So how are you protecting yourself, your own mental health, the burnout that can happen? Because it does happen to people, no matter how strong they are.
Yep. And the biggest thing is, especially with the folks that are out there that are caregivers, like make sure you have yourself, scheduled for what's called respite. And it's, you want to make sure that you're taking care of your own mental health, because you are not helping anybody else if you're not in a comfortable place yourself. If you're not able to take care of your own self-care, it will show in the help you're providing others. So if you need to step back and, and pass off, a case, or a couple of soldiers to somebody else. Like I also work with another organization. They do a warm line on Discord, and it's called Warrior Gamer Foundation. And they have about 12 of us that are part of this this peer support hotline. And people will go on Discord and they'll send a message saying, hey, I'm in need of help. XYZ, I'm having struggle because of this. And it may not be military related. It may, they had a bad date and they're in the dumps. They're struggling because they're, scraping together change to get groceries, need some resources. And so one of us will answer the call for that, for the warm line, and go out there and, talk to folks and see what happens. And then afterwards, 2 or 3 of us will go over the conversation that happened on Discord and make sure that, the person that, just went through the conversation with the person is okay. Making sure that it wasn't, a situation of like a trauma dump or things like that, where they took on too much and now they're going to walk away from it, worse off than they were when they went in.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that would be hard.
To have, the safety plan, the most basic thing that's out there that you can have is a safety plan. When you start seeing yourself do certain things, like for me, if I start like picking or I start pacing around the room, things like that will tell me that I'm getting anxious, I'm getting stressed, I'm getting outside of my comfortable area. When I start doing things like that, that's when I know I've got to take a minute, count to 10, breathe, grab a drink of water, splash some water in my face, kind of reset mentally. And then there are certain things that, like, if my wife will see me doing, she can say, hey, Mike, take your time out, got to do this, a little differently because, it's starting to get to you. I can see it. And then if I get even further and like my heart starts to change, like the beat and everything like that, that's when Jose comes in and he'll straight up put his head directly to my chest and let me know that I got to stop.
Wow.
And like Jose, he also, like if my equilibrium goes, he can come and he can shore up my left leg so that way I don't fall over.
That's amazing.
So
that's a good boy.
He knows it's happening before I do. Like I may have not even lost my balance yet, and all of a sudden he's just right on my leg. And I'm like, oh, here it goes.
That's wild. With doing all these things, Hellfish Haven, you're telling people about the things that they can access through the VA, the dogs, the everything. What would be your vision, like for Hellfish Haven in the next, say, 5 years? What would be your like long-term vision, like a 5-year plan? What do you see coming about?
So what I want to see happen is I want to see each state have a place for veterans to go. That's like a gaming lounge, podcast studio. Like in the military, we called it the MWR lounge, the Morale, Welfare, and Recreation. And I want each state to have one of these places where veterans can go, that they can unwind, they can relax, they can hang out with other veterans and families, like be open to, like I said, the veterans, the families, and the caregivers. And like, if you have a little podcast studio where guys can learn, how to do a show if they want to do something like that, or they could record, their show there once a week or do things from there. And then also have, the computer lab set up for, older guys to come in and be able to do the work they need. How many times do you have to print something out, but nobody has a printer anymore? And like things like that you can come in and be able to work. And then guys can set up, in a little area and have, a couple of love seats, and, you can have, 2-on-2 giant, flat screen TVs, back to back to each other, so you can play each other without screen watching. And, just different things like that, like we had with the Hellfish Haven with the community room we first opened, have these, these areas where you can take out the games. You can go do tabletop gaming, once a week, have tournaments and things like that. Once a week, have card games, host Dungeons and Dragons nights, like just different things to be able to get folks to get out of their rut and to get out and have a place that veterans can go to, that their families can go to, that caregivers can go to, that isn't their house, isn't work, to have that third place. And I don't care if it's called Hellfish Haven, or if it's called, Disabled American Veterans Lounge, or if it's called, the Rhode Island, Veterans Lounge, whatever it's got to be called. I just want to see them pop up, because the VFWs and the Legions are closing faster than we can, do anything about it. And we just need to have a place for veterans to be able to go, get educated, have things, get peer support. If you have a little corner where guys can go and do a little private conversation, even if you have, little offices where you can go in and have, smoked out glass or whatever, to be able to, have some privacy, just something like that, where, the different resources can be available, whether you're going in there just to be by yourself and, do a game of solitaire, or you're going to go there and you're going to play giant Jenga with some friends, whatever folks can do to rebuild and repair themselves, because the most important thing is, that self-care. If they don't have that self-care and they don't have a way to do that, then, everything else is not going to work.
Absolutely. So, how you never know who's lurking in a chat. They're not saying nothing. They're just listening. If we have a veteran right now who is just sitting back lurking, and maybe they don't want to talk, they're feeling isolated, maybe they don't feel like they can reach out, or they don't, maybe they feel embarrassed, just any of that. What's one thing, or more, I don't mind more, that you want them to know about you being there for them, or that you want them to know they can reach out to you, or anybody else who they can reach out to, what they can do? Just if they're just sitting here looking and they're, they're just feeling some type of way, what is something that you want them to know?
One resource that's really awesome that we have in Massachusetts is the Greater Boston area, the Veterans Collaborative. And I just put up a share with you.
Okay, it's coming up. Here you go.
And this is a website, riseup.vet. And if you go to it, it's the shared calendar that they have. This is the Virtual Plus Massachusetts calendar. And you can look at it, and you can see all these different events that are out there. The Veterans Collaborative that's going on. This is, tomorrow there'll be a meeting, or not tomorrow, September 2nd. So next week, there'll be that meeting. And then you've got anonymous online phone support groups, online yoga, meditation, military veterans, families, on practice. This right here, if you sign up for this through the VA, you get to do it for free. And there's so many different yoga and meditation classes that you can take, all for free. Veterans and families, if you haven't taken advantage of this yet, on practice, it's really awesome.
That's really cool.
There's other projects here. There's other events. These are all different things that are available to you right now. And you just need to find something that you connect with, whether it's a writing thing, whether it's a community gathering. This is a brave support group. This is parents helping parents, hearing voices, all the different things that are out there, support group for people dealing with dual diagnoses, tabletop Tuesday, board games at tavern, like guided eye rest, meditation class from home, like self-defense free class, like men's healing, like literally there's so much on this page, and this is just the virtual in Massachusetts page. There's so many more. If you choose like an area to go and you want to go, you can click agenda, you can click monthly, and you'll see that there are so many different events.
That's amazing. So, and I'm sure that there's so many people out there that don't know about that, they just completely learned something new. And anybody in chat, if you know somebody that needs it, let them know about that, because maybe they don't know.
Absolutely.
It's a huge resource.
So the main page for the collaborative is collaborate.vet, but riseup.vet. Riseup.vet. It's just simple, riseup.vet. And just, it's got the virtual events, it's got the Boston area events, and, it's just such an important thing to have, and, to be able to know what's going on and be able to find something that works for you. Like for me, one of the first programs that I learned and joined with on a stream was Warner Writers. They did like a writing prompt where they were sharing, hey, they start with a sentence and then you continue the paragraph from there. And like, it was just like a creative writing exercise. It was just something different to do during COVID for me to be able to, get my creative juices flowing and get myself out of just sitting at home, like doing the same thing, sitting there eating, double stuffed Oreos and honey buns all day.
Definitely. Well, I'm just so glad there are so many resources. I had no idea that there were, and I would be willing to bet anything. There are plenty of people that will be in this chat or be on replay that absolutely had no idea that all of this was available to them.
Like I said, and what I always tell people too, like, sorry to cut you off, but like, if I, don't know the resource, like if I don't have the answer for you, I know the person that does, because this is what I've done for the last, several years, is I've dug myself into this community. I've made the connections. I've gone to the events. I've, been there with the people, and, the veteran community isn't that, large. We're very small, and we're out there together, and, you have that shared connection with people, and like I said, we share resources. I've got guys that, from Hawaii that'll send me a message saying, we got this organization starting up. Can you, share, us with the organization? Absolutely. I might not have anybody in Hawaii, but, we're going to still share their, the military resilience guys that are out there, and let them know, hey, we got this going on in Boston. If you're ever out here and we're ever out there, we're here together.
That's so cool. Well, we have come to our 2-hour mark, guys. But I do have one last question for you, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
How can civilians and like just the broader community altogether, just all of us, how can we, support your mission?
The biggest thing that you can do is just make sure veterans in your life know that there's a community out there for them. Make sure that people, don't let the Haven, don't let my inbox be empty. Like, share it with your friends. Let them know if they're having trouble to send me a message. Let them know if it's the smallest thing, just go ahead and, shoot an email, like whether you need an ear to complain to or you need, whatever, I'm here for it.
Okay, I'm just putting in here because I don't know how to do it myself. So I'm counting on Dar to do it. I'm counting on Dar to do it. Where'd you go? You're not on the stage. Where'd you go? I don't see you.
I'm down here. Did my camera stop?
I think because I'm the only one up there, and that's not good. Everybody's here to see your pretty face, not mine.
Or did you kick me out?
I did not. I did not. Y'all can hear him, right? Hey, Maylin, how are you? Thank you for the raid. Y'all
Sorry,
can
how are you?
hear him, right?
Do you want me to stop my camera and turn it back on?
Oh, they said they can hear you. Yeah, see if you can get back on there. Hold on. Let me.
I think you
Oh, okay. Let me try that. Oh,
There
you're
we
so
go.
tiny. Why are you so tiny?
Just a little guy.
What on earth? There you are.
Mhm.
Look, we all know that I
And
am
then
an absolute noob at this. So I am just real sorry, guys. I'm trying real hard here.
I had to put this on the
Oh,
other
oh,
day.
oh.
This was
Yes,
baby me
Dar.
when I was in Germany.
Dar Vader asked a question. I am so sorry, Dar. We got
Yes.
so wrapped up.
Mhm.
Can you please share the stuffed animal story?
Give me 1 second. I want to try to share it with a prop. So we can give
Okay.
him 30 seconds to come back.
Oh, he's gonna bring a prop, y'all. That's wonderful. And I really hope that everybody has been able to, you know, learn something today, to learn different ways that maybe you can help people in your lives, and extend that hand of kindness that sometimes the world forgets to give. Sometimes we get so wrapped up in the hatefulness that we forget the kindness that we're supposed to be given to people. And I know I do my little snarky things, but
All right, come
I'm
back.
always willing to extend a hand of kindness.
Here we go.
And I hope you are too. Here he comes. He's bringing a prop, y'all.
All right. He's back. All right. So this right here. This is the shirt that was made because this little guy
Uh-huh.
was standing on the side of the road when we went out to set up a landing zone for the general in the first tour. And so we set up a landing zone so the general could land safely with the Blackhawks. And so we pulled 360 security on the ground for him. And then the general will land, do his mission, do his little, go around with the battalion commander, search what they had to do, figure out what they had to do. And then the general would fly back to base. And so in that area, we, head back home. So we see a kid on the side of the road. I throw my stuffed animal. Wave to the kid, nothing out of the normal. Next day on the mission board, same exact mission, same exact time, same exact place. All right. We don't have to do much. So now we're like, all right, all we got to do is go out there, take the same mission, go to the same place. So we go out, take the convoy out there, set up the LZ. We got to secure. General lands. They do the same thing again. He goes around, takes pictures. This time they've got like a government official with them to, do the project funding for whatever they're doing. And then all of a sudden they come back and the general takes off. He goes fly away. We get the convoy set up. I'm the lead vehicle. So we're up there. I'm up in the gun. And all of a sudden we see this kid waving us down. He's in the middle of the road. And my team yelled at me, Mikey, is that the kid from yesterday? I go, yeah, Billy, that's the kid from yesterday. And then so we do a convoy halt. And Billy gets out. Kid grabs Billy by the hand, goes over the side of the road, starts dusting off on the side of the road a 155 artillery round. So this thing is a big artillery shell that's on the ground with the wires coming all out of it. So we take the kid, we put him in the back of our truck. We cordon off the area and we wait. We pull security, you call up EOD and you ask them to come out. They finish playing their Madden game or whatever they're doing on the base. And, finally they come out to us about 3 hours later. And they come out with this robot. And the robot goes up to the thing the kid showed us. And not only is there one 155 round, but there's a second. And not only is there a second, but there's a third. Not only is there a third, but there's a fourth. So there's 4 155 artillery shells buried on the side of the road. And had we gone any further up the road where the kid was, we would have hit 2 saw blades that would have connected it together and had it detonate. So the way it was set up too was the exact intervals that we were driving. So whoever saw us the day before put that bomb on the road for us because they had the distance between the first one and the second vehicle was the 100 meters that we're driving. Second vehicle and the third vehicle, the 25 meters, because that's where we had the general. And then the third vehicle and the fourth vehicle, 50 meters. So it was absolutely, meant to get us all at once. And that little kid, just saved our life for me giving him a teddy bear the day before. He decided to say, I want to help these guys. And he told us, what had happened. We got an interpreter out there, and he told him that a white BMW had come out and, put the stuff on the side of the road. And then somebody else came by and dug the holes and put it in. And so, when I told it to these guys that had run this company back in 2005, 2007 is when they made the shirt. It was called A Boy, a Bear, and a Soldier. Take pride. But they are now defunct. So they have given us permission on hellfishhaven.com. We have a hold on a second. I want to pull it up.
Okay.
Then I'm just going to go back over here to stream. I'm going to share screen. Sorry, I have to talk to myself when I do things.
No, I do it too.
All right. Go to screen share. Ready?
There you go.
This is my pretty pink page. And so there is short sleeve, long sleeve, and we also put it on to coffee cups.
And this is the merch store.
Yep. And we
So
have the
is
other kind
this
of
one-
coffee that you say thank you with.
Is this one way that we can support Hellfish Haven is through
Yes.
the merch store?
Yep. And there's all different things. Is people asked for an apron. Like if you guys ask any type of merch, handmade. We got women's, we've got men's, we've got some with the battlefield cross on it to remember our fallen.
Well, I hope everybody will go get a little something because it's going to take a whole lot of cabbage to build that computer lab. But it's going to be worth it. That is really neat. So you guys have permission to use that design?
Yep. So the artist that made it, she gave it when she was commissioned by Take Pride. Ryan, the owner of Take Pride, had the rights for it. And so when I asked him that I was running my own nonprofit, he was actually thrilled to be able to have, one of his products, live on again. So that's why you see every one of them is called Take Pride with the name of it. Take Pride. Take Pride. So that way his organization still lives on, even though it's not around anymore.
That's really cool. Darth Vader is interested in that apron right there.
The Hellfish Haven apron?
Is that it right there, the white one?
I think comes in a couple colors. And then the shirt here has been a popular one. This is known as the Baker hoodie.
Wow.
Because I gave
So
Baker a white version of this hoodie.
Nice.
And then
So yeah, guys,
talk
this
about
is
mental health and the shape of the brain.
and guys, this is one
And
way
this is my
to
personal favorite,
help Hellfish Haven.
PTSD. And stuff for the doggos, stuff for kiddos, flag, coffee, whatever you guys are interested in. And if you let me know if there's something that you want outside of this, definitely more than happy to to create more.
Absolutely. That is so cool. So yeah, guys, this is a way to help out Hellfish Haven and just kind of keep everything up and running.
And I'm not crazy like some people do on the merch stores. Like I try to do everything. Like I think the most I make on an item is $6 or $7. So I try to keep prices low because I don't want folks to have to spend an arm and a leg to get something. because I feel like it's better to get merch out there so folks can can see it and be able to share the mission versus it just sitting in a store.
Well, I love that. And we really, really, really appreciate all this. I mean, it's been some valuable information today. And I really appreciate you bringing it here, bringing it to my rinky dink little channel,
TC was
do
asking
it.
for a wrench too, if you saw.
Well, TC, you'll get one. Hold on, let me see. I'm just like him. I'm like, how am I doing that again? Let me see. Okay, so I got to click that, and then I go here. I do the same thing you do. I talk to myself. I'm trying to do it.
You gotta talk to yourself. You gotta sing a little doodad, And then when my daughter does, I'm like, I wonder where she gets that from. Oh yeah, it's me.
Yeah, you're like, oops, passed that right on, didn't I?
No
Okay.
problem. I'm thankful
Did
for
it
everybody
work?
that was here today.
Did that work?
Yep.
There we go. Yeah, definitely sub to Hellfish Haven. We need to get him there.
And make sure you
And
guys like and subscribe here as well to our friend YouTubery for having this wonderful show and tell day.
you are so kind. You are so kind. Yeah, definitely do all that. Visit the War podcast. I did the other day. It was pretty cool. I was lurking.
And hellfishhaven.org is for the info for folks. That's the nonprofit site. Hellfishhaven.com is the merch.
And what was the website name for
RiseUp.vet.
the one that had all of the RiseUp.vet? Yeah, the one that had all of the information of all the goings on around town that people would be able to join into.
And then also the app store for the VA, mobile.va.gov has all those apps that you can download. The couples coach, the mindfulness coach, PTSD, MST, all those apps are available, whether you have an Android or an iPhone, both are available.
And if we could also share Operation Delta Dog.
Yes, absolutely. They are the go-to donation right now. If you guys are looking to make us, a donation of anything like $20 or more, send it right over to Delta Dog, get them up and running. They're looking to get a new facility with their AC to get repaired, so that way they can open up their new building to be able to serve and have more dogs and more veterans each month. So,
and if you know anybody that does that kind of work that wants to donate of their time, what is it? I think Valhalla's. I get a hold of Valhalla, and he would he would be able to assist in that for sure. Valhalla awaits. So if May could drop that link as well. Wow, we're working, May. We're working. You don't ask for a wrench unless you're willing to fix something now. Because I don't know how to do none of it. Yeah, the RiseUp.vet, Operation Delta Dog, and definitely drop Valhalla awaits, because he is a veteran as well and has a lot of valuable information, and he can get you in touch with who you need to get in touch with.
And those that don't forget, our friend the Baker is also a veteran. Even though he's not a United States veteran, he is still a veteran. Folks that don't know, Baker served in Bosnia as part of the joint task force that was a NATO mission. And in that mission, Baker actually was responsible for saving millions of dollars of United States communications equipment during a wildfire. So there was a wildfire, and Baker went up multiple times, coming back down to bring the equipment back, so that way it didn't get caught up in the fire. And because of that, he was awarded that certificate of appreciation from the command team there, part of the 249 communications company. When I reached out to them, they were defunct, but their parent company that ran the entire mission was still around, and they're the ones that were able to get the coin so that we were able to give it to Baker during his Dollywood trip.
Yeah, absolutely. Baker is not only a Denmarkian hero, but he's also an American hero, really.
Mhm.
You know, and these people are so important to us, and we need to show our appreciation. So definitely, if you've got it in your heart to click one of those links and just help out in whatever way you can. And if you can't help out that way, reach out to a vet that just be a friend. Just be a friend and reach out a hand of kindness. And you never know, what kind of difference that you're going to make in that life.
And if you're a hugger, get out there and give some hugs. If you're not, give a high five or a pound, whatever, just share some actual emotion with, family, friends, loved ones, let folks know that you're there for them.
Absolutely. Well, I thank you for being here. I thank everybody else for being here. This, I believe, has been productive. And I'm going to leave everybody with my outro song. And believe me, it means more in this moment on this stream than it ever has. Thank you so much for being here, Hellfish.
No problem. Thank you for having me. One love, y'all.
The screen is glowing, the chat is moving fast. We built a little world, made the good times last. You are all legends. You chose to spend your time with me, and sharing all these laughs is the best part of my week. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. You turn a quiet room into a stadium of cheer. I appreciate the hype, the raids, and every single view. This stream is nothing special if it isn't filled with you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. But the screen is getting warm, and the midnight oil is burned. We leveled up the hype, and every victory was earned. Now it is time to close the tabs and finally power down. Step away from the desktop, take a walk around the town. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. You turn a quiet room into a stadium of cheer. I appreciate the hype, the raids, and every single view. This stream is nothing special if it isn't filled with you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. So go outside and log offline. Let your eyes take a rest. Go touch some grass, breathe the air, do what you do best. The sunlight is waiting, the real world is calling your name. We will be right back tomorrow for another round of the game. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. You turn a quiet room into a stadium of cheer. I appreciate the hype, the raids, and every single view. The stream is nothing special if it isn't filled with you. Thank you for watching.